Springfield Armory Hellcat OSP. Welcome back to the Concealed Carry channel. I'm Grant McLean. Thank you guys so much for joining us today for this unboxing and review of the Springfield Armory Hellcat OSP. Okay, I'm excited to show you this, show our findings. Of course, we took it to the range, so I'm excited to show you what we found at the range too. But before we jump into that, make sure you go ahead, hit that like. Hit the subscribe, of course, share the channel with your friends, family, and other concealed carry gun enthusiasts. And, of course, comment something awesome in there, too. I want to give a big thank you and shout out to our friends over at Northwest Armory. They have been awesome about supplying us with guns for the tabletop reviews. This way we can get them in our hands, break them down, and then also take them to the range and get that information back to you so you can make a well-educated decision on whether or not this firearm is going to be a good fit for you before you buy it, okay? So if you do need to get any guns shipped to you, just go to nwarmory.com. They are shipping to your local FFLs. And if you do pop into the store, tell them that Grant over at the Concealed Carry channel sent you in, and they'll make sure to take care of you. And of course, if Khaki is there, make sure to give him a couple pets. He's such a good doggy. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the unboxing of this gun here. Here we are. Take a look at that. So it comes in this cool little bag, which I think is pretty awesome. It's kind of like a little padded bag, zipper on it. Put that aside there, and there you have the firearm. So it's kind of cool that it comes in the bag. Unfortunately, you're not really going to do anything with the bag. I mean, it's not like the bag locks or anything, or it can hold any ammo, or it has much of a handle, so I don't know that you'll ever, really use it to go to the range or anything like that, but it's kind of cool that it comes with it. Okay, so we have the firearm here. We'll remove that safety flag real quick. All right, next thing that we're going to find in the box is we have your paperwork. Kind of cool little Hellcat envelope, and you have all sorts of fun little pieces of propaganda in there. All right, you got your warranty registration, then you got your manual right there. So kind of nice little presentation and folder that they put that in there. And underneath, you have your 13-round magazine and your lock. Oh, and one more thing, you have your flush fit base plate, okay? So that's what's going to come with it, and I'll just talk about this while I have the flush fit base plate out. Is your 11-round mag. It has a pinky extension, so this is not the extended magazines, and you'll see underneath there. So you can take that pinky extension off if you want to do the flush fit, okay? So they do include that, which is cool. Kind of nice, you have all that stuff together, okay? The other magazine you're going to have here is the extended magazine, and this is going to be a 13-round magazine, okay? So let's talk about the specs on this gun real quick here, okay? So this is the Springfield Hellcat OSP, which it has the optic plate on top. This one is considered to be a micro compact, okay? It's chambered in 9mm. You have two magazines. You have an 11-round magazine, which you saw, and we also have the 13-round magazine, 13 plus 1 in the chamber there. So the height on this is going to be 4 inches with the flush fit mag, okay? The height with the extended mag is going to be 4.5 inches, okay? The length on this guy here is going to be 6 inches, and the width is going to be 1 inch. And I find that that 1 inch is basically the whole thing. It's a very blocky, kind of straight gun, okay? Not a whole lot of curves to this, okay? All right, the weight is going to be 1 pound, 2 ounces, and the barrel on this here is 3 inches. The MSRP on the OSP model, this is going to be their more expensive of the two models, one without the optic cut and one with, is $5.99, okay? I have seen this sell anywhere between about $570, so $569, and actually nearly $650, okay, is what I've seen these, depending on if you can get them. These guns are pretty hard to find, pretty sought after as far as that goes. It is known to be the highest capacity micro compact on the market. And, you know, there's some kind of funky stuff going on with that, because now you have the P365 with a extended magazine that is 15 rounds. But then with that extended magazine, you know, now it's adding to the length of the gun. So is it taking it out of being a micro compact into more of a subcompact? And, you know, that's kind of the thing is you can have really high capacities, but of course they're going to have to add measurements on somewhere, okay? So you have to be okay with that, and depending on how you're carrying the gun, you know, it may or may not be a factor at all. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our time at the range with this gun. Okay, so we did our usual thing where we do 3, 5, 7, and 10 yards. Okay, now this is one of our earlier reviews on this. Okay, we did the 3, 5, 7, and 10 yards. However, when we did the 3, 5, 7, and 10 yards using this gun, this was before I decided to put more of a time restriction on this. Okay, so with these, do take, you know, this with a little bit of a grain of salt, because these guns are hard to get. The gun that I shot in this, I had to return, and then I got this one for the tabletop review. You know, thank you guys over at Northwest Armory for letting me get another one. But, you know, this one here, I can't just go run the heck out of this thing at the range because this is a brand new gun, okay? So, and we're going to keep it that way. All right, so with the 3, 5, 7, and 10 yards, the groupings on these are pretty good for this being a 3-inch barrel micro compact 9mm. As you know, these are going to have more recoil than a full-size 9mm. So you take a look here. These squares are a 1-inch square. So, you know, you're looking at this at 3 yards having about a 2-inch group, and you'll see 3 of the rounds landed almost on top of each other. The 5-inch group, you know, 3 of the rounds landed within about 3/4 of an inch of each other, but this nonetheless, you're looking at about a 3-inch group there. 7 yards, you know, you're seeing the grouping get bigger, so you're looking at about 3-inch group there, and then the 5 yards, you'll see, or I'm sorry, the 10 yards, you'll see they're getting further and further kind of over to the left. And so at the 10 yards, the grouping here was pretty good, but they were starting to definitely drift over to the left. That is, you know, actually the groupings on there I'm not sad about by any means with the sight, and we'll talk about the sight here shortly. There's room for error in this sight. And so I'm not too sad that it started to drift over a little bit. I mean, comparative to dead center at 10 yards, I was only 4 inches off the dead center with one of the shots at 10 yards. So, and then the rest of them were only 2.5 inches off or less at 10 yards, okay? So and that's at a standing position, not on a bench or rest or anything like that, okay? So I'm not too terribly disappointed in those groups, but I did want to tell you, of course, you know, this is not my usual, you know, 5 shots, 2 seconds. This is before we started doing that, okay? I will tell you this, though. With the 5 shots in 2 seconds, okay, and one of the reasons why we started doing that is because we found that the recoil, obviously, is going to make a big difference, but you know, when you have the recoil and you shoot and you can reset and shoot again, is that actually going to be a reality? Had you ever had to use this gun in a defensive situation? Are you just going to be able to shoot 5 shots in 10 seconds, 5 shots in 15 seconds? Okay, 15 seconds, that's an eternity. If you're shooting at a target that's, threatening your life within 30 feet. Okay, so that's when we started doing that, and unfortunately I wasn't able to. I was able to get my hands on the gun, but not get the gun back in the range. So I will tell you this, this gun would not shoot as well as you see here doing 5 shots in 2 seconds. Okay, so do take this with a grain of salt, but nonetheless, I am going to give you my feedback on our range time with the gun. Okay, so I just want to give you guys, clarity on what was going on at the range there. Okay, let's start at the top on this gun here and start off at the sights. Okay, these are actually one of my favorite sights that I have shot with. It is a U-shaped rear, but it's not like the Glock. This is actually almost like a little smiley face, okay? And the front is a high-vis, big dot tritium front sight. And it is very easy to put that round front sight in that semi-round rear sight, almost like just kind of cradles it. It's awesome. So you just kind of set that little circle into the little smiley face and pull the trigger. Bang. It is awesome as far as that goes. When you have such a short sight, radius there, the barrel's only 3 inches. So as the target gets further out, obviously that front sight is going to take up more and more of that target. So you do have room for error there. But overall, picking up that front sight, super easy. Putting it into U, super easy. I got to tell you, this is the part here that I feel they really knocked out of the park on that. And these are metal sights too, so do definitely like that. Both of them are dovetail front and rear. Now, as far as optics go, you do have the plate here, so you can take that plate off and you can put a micro red dot on there. So if you wanted to do the Shield, or you wanted to do the JP Enterprise, or say the Holosun, you could do something like that on this, and it would look really good. I know that on the website and pictures that you'll see of the Hellcat, they're going to have that optic on there. It does not come with the optic. Okay, I know that this is something that people see all the pictures of it and they're like, oh, look at that. Comes with an optic, $5.99, killer deal. It would be. That's not the case. It doesn't come with the optic. You do need to purchase the optic separately. Now, they did put these little serrations on the top of the slide there on the optic plate, and, doing research and things like that, and Springfield says if things go really sideways, you can rack the slide easier because it has top serrations. I don't believe that. If you ever got a chance to get one of these in your hands, you'll know exactly what you're not using that top slide at all. There's not really a whole lot of grip there. To me, it's more of aesthetics than anything else. I think that they could have finished out the top of this slide and that optic plate with those serrations if they came over the sides, and it would look a little bit more finished, like their Hellcat that does not have the optic cut. If they did that, I think it would have looked a bit more sharp and a bit more finished. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the slide here. This spring is pretty heavy. It's not anything too crazy for me to find with the P365. It's got pretty similar weight. However, on the P365, the serrations, they are deeper and more pronounced, so you can actually get a more positive grip on them. I know that people are pretty much going to compare this directly to a P365, okay? So that's why I said what I said, and I'm going to say a few more things in this review comparing the two, and I do have the 365 XL here, which is a little bit longer, but we can use some of the things from the XL that you'll also find on any of the 365 modules, okay, or models. All right, the slide is a little more boxy than I like. Like I was saying earlier, when you look at the width of this gun, there is not a whole lot of curves to this. It is just 1 inch thick, pretty much the whole thing. It's kind of like it's, looking at it, it's more like a Glock than a Springfield in styling wise. This really does look like a mini Glock, doesn't it? Look at that. The boxiness, all that stuff, really does. So other than that, the slide, little boxy. It does have, the cool little Springfield logo machined in there nicely. It says Springfield Armory on the side nicely, Hellcat on the other side right there. The finish on it is not bad by any means. It's just a little boxy for my likes, and some people, they may like that, okay? As far as the safeties go, you do have a loaded chamber indicator up there just under the hood of the chamber there, and then you also have your trigger safety right there, okay? So other than that, there is no other safeties, okay? So you can definitely see if there's brass, if you have a loaded chamber, and then also with the trigger safety, it's just like, heck, 90% of the guns out there, it feels like, have these trigger safeties on now. So not anything too unfamiliar. You just want to make sure that you are getting enough of your finger on that safety to disengage it, because if you're the type of person that uses just the tip of your finger when shooting, you might run into the issue of not being able to pull the trigger back because you're not getting enough of your finger on there, okay? So practice like usual, okay? All right, so let's take a look at this mag release here real quick. I will also talk about the slide lock release there. So the mag release here is pretty simple to get to. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure to engage that. However, with the mag and the grip being, shorter than the length of your palm, you're going to run into probably the same issue that you're going to run into with like the Sig Sauer, and that's where you have to remove your pinky and kind of push your palm out, so that way the magazine can fully release, okay? So that is not too abnormal as far as that goes. The mag release is ambidextrous, so if you did want to swap that over to the right side of the gun, you definitely can. With the slide lock release lever, it is pretty flush, it's pretty small. There's not a whole lot of surface area to it, and I find that this spring is pretty heavy to release that, okay? So, and because there's not a whole lot of surface area to it, I would definitely get in the practice of slingshotting the gun versus trying to use that slide lock release. Even when actually putting it upright, you do have to put a good amount of pressure into it to lock that back, just because there's just not a whole lot there, okay? Now this is only on the left side of the gun. It is not ambidextrous as far as that goes, okay? So, and then you have your takedown lever here. I did take this down. It is pretty stiff initially, but I feel that over time that'll probably loosen up a little bit and become a little bit easier to take it down as far as that goes, okay? So controls wise, and I'm not too surprised with anything there as far as that goes, okay? All right, so let's talk about the grip. Okay, so the grip on this gun, as I've said earlier, it's very boxy. The grip on this is quite boxy. On the back, on the beaver tail, there's not a whole lot of, it feels like there's not a lot of smoothing out to this. And of course, it's not like the more you use this gun, it's going to mold to your hand in a certain way. These polymer frames don't work like that, okay? So it kind of is what it is. So I feel like this is one of those grips that either it feels good in your hand or you hate it. Kind of like a Glock in a way. It is boxy, but I think at the same time that boxiness is what allows for this to be 13 rounds in this. It does need to be a little bit wider, okay? Me personally, I do prefer the P365 grip. Now keep in mind this is an XL, so this is going to be an X grip module, okay? But I do prefer this one, where the Springfield Hellcat is more of a sharp line here. It's not as curved in. The SIG is more curved in, okay? The grip on the finger groove here, okay? And also the trigger guard, okay? What happens is when you get that grip deep into there, that trigger guard, you can see it's pushing against my finger, okay? When you're trying to get that nice high grip. Take a look here on the SIG, they've pushed that out, okay? So you'll see that. Really shallow, not pushed out, okay? So when you're gripping this and you get that nice high grip, you have plenty of room there for your finger to get nice and high without pinching. Versus this one, you'd have to have a pretty small finger to fit in that, okay? So that undercut, I feel, is too small, and it definitely needs to be pushed out towards the front of the trigger guard. And the thing is, too, there's room for it. So I'll go ahead and press this trigger back. Okay? So you can see there's room for that trigger to go back further. So I think that they should have definitely finished that out a little bit better. Okay? So you could get a higher purchase. With the back being wider, it's a little more fat. It doesn't feel that it gets deep into the webbing of your hand, but more so it just takes up more surface area this way, okay? So it's not getting nice and deep into your, like, at least as far as I like it, it's not getting as deep into the webbing of your hand, but it's more just taking up width, okay? With that being said, the felt recoil between, and I've shot every 365 they make, okay? And, you know, I have the XL. That's the one that kind of won my heart over. But all of those have more pleasurable shooting recoil, okay? The felt recoil on those, in my opinion, is better than this. That being said, if you have enough, you know, you get enough range time in and get comfortable with enough, the recoil is almost irrelevant in a certain fashion, because if you learn to shoot with that type of recoil all the time and you get used to it, you're going to be better off than I probably will ever be with this gun, okay? So that's kind of the thing is you know what, if you're used to driving a monster truck, you know what I mean, you're going to drive it like a pro eventually, so, you know, drive it enough. And that's kind of the thing. But out of the box and with the rounds that we put down range, and we try to put down, we try to put a lot of enough rounds, you know, 250 to 300 rounds in one range setting to really get familiar with the gun and feel good about it, and especially about what we're saying with you today. Okay, so as far as the grip goes, boxy, not a big fan of it. The grip texture on it is good, though. I will tell you that. And they also did a good job of putting texturing up here for your support thumb on the other side there, okay? So they did a good job on that, okay? But outside of that, the magazine extension and the pinky extension, they will carry that same grip texture. So they did finish this out nicely. I gotta tell you that. They did a good job on that, okay? All right, as far as the trigger goes, this is a flat face trigger, as you can see there. It does have some serrations on the trigger, which is nice. But like I was saying earlier, you definitely want to make sure that you get enough of your finger on the trigger, because, I mean, you can see here, I feel that I have a good amount of my finger on the trigger, yet I cannot pull the trigger down because I need to make sure that my finger is all the way on top of that safety release, okay, that safety lever. So that's the thing is you want to make sure that you do get enough of your finger on that trigger to disengage that safety, okay? But other than that, the trigger is fairly it's fairly familiar if you're used to shooting a Glock. You know, it's about a 5.5 pound trigger. the take up is kind of mushy on it. Okay, get some take up on it, and then it breaks, and the reset is about almost the same as a Glock in a certain way. So it's not too unfamiliar as far as that goes. And I do like the flat face on it. So yeah, fairly easy to get used to. You know what I mean? As far as the accessories go, this is not a proprietary rail. This is basically the same type of rail that you're going to see on, the Glock, the Mossberg, MC1, and MC2s. A lot of companies use this rail. So as far as getting micro lights, lasers, from like, say, Crimson Trace or Viridian or Streamlight or Surefire, getting things like that is not going to be a problem with this at all. Okay, so getting accessories there, no problem. You have the optic plate already on top and that optic cut, so getting an aftermarket optic, not going to be a problem as far as that goes either, as long as it's available. During the great pandemic, everything is unavailable. So but I'll tell you, if you really want to get a high capacity micro compact gun, and you want something high capacity, it's pretty much going to come down. It's going to come down to the P365 and the Hellcat, and between the two, I'm a bit more of a fan of the feel and the felt recoil of the P365. Again, I did decide to go with the XL, so this is going to be bigger than the Hellcat that I have here today. I mean, this is a 3.9 inch barrel. This is a 3-inch barrel. Okay, it is going to be bigger. Not to say that you couldn't go with the smaller P365, but this was a very fun review for me to do, and I was really happy to shoot this because this is something that is very sought after in the market right now. And I would say that if you are bouncing between the Hellcat, the Springfield, whichever, okay, and you go into your local gun store and you say, hey, do you have one or the other? And they say, no, I don't have this, I'm sorry, not the Springfield, the 6 Hour. And you said, hey, I want a 6 Hour P365, and they said no, and you said, hey, do you have a Hellcat? And they said, yeah, and you got one of these in your hand, and you needed a high capacity micro compact, I would feel completely comfortable telling any of my friends or family, hey, go buy this. It's a decent gun. In my eyes, I feel that the fit and finish and how comfortable the 6 Hour P365 is superior to this. However, this is not a bad gun, and if this is what you can get, then I would definitely heavily consider it. Okay, but at the same time, these XLs, they're not $599. You know what I mean? So you are looking at spending a little bit more if you did want to go with like a P365 XL, especially with like what I have there with the Romeo Zero. So, pretty much wrapping everything up for y'all. Good gun. Good shooting gun. The recoil is going to be more. The spring is, in my opinion, going to be heavier. And that is something that you want to make sure that, if you can get your hands on these and get some range time in with it, perfect. But at least check out those serrations and stuff and see how easy it's going to be to manipulate that. And those are some of the things that I feel, the boxiness, the serrations, and just the weight, the way that it's balanced, especially during recoil. Those would probably be the three things that I would say are the biggest deciding factors for this gun, especially if you're trying to compare it to a P365, okay? Which I think that's pretty much what everybody's doing right now, okay? But, yeah, I would love to hear from you. If you have one of these, let me know. Which model do you have? Why did you choose that model? How many rounds do you have down the range with it? What do you like? What do you not like? Do you have any, pros, cons in particular that you like? If it was something that you had considered and you decided not to buy it, what did you buy instead? Definitely helps out the community of viewers here on the Concealed Carry channel, helping them make an educated decision on whether or not this is going to be a good fit for them as well. Okay, but of course, hit that like, hit the subscribe, helps out our channel immensely, and make sure that you share the channel, share the love with your friends, family, and other concealed carry enthusiasts. And again, if you need anything from Northwest Armory, big sponsors of the channel, thank you guys so much again for getting guns in my hands. Go to nwarmory.com. You can order your gun there. They will ship it to your local FFL and take care of you. If you happen to go in the store, make sure to let them know that Grant at the Concealed Carry channel sent you in, and give Khaki some love because he's such a good boy. Okay, I am super excited about these upcoming reviews. As you can see, we have a pile of ammo. Don't even ask me how I got this. I had to do things that I'm embarrassed about saying to get this much ammo, okay? But we have a lot of great reviews coming up, and I really look forward to sharing our findings with you. So make sure that you stay tuned for upcoming episodes, because we have some really, really good stuff coming out, okay? All right, we'll see you soon. Springfield Hellcat. So I might want to just cut all that shit out. Wonder what you put in this tiny little pocket. It's like one of those pockets like for your jeans. It's like the point, you know what I mean? The pointless pocket. It's like
one that women can't fit their cell phones in.
I mean, I guess you could put a mag in there, but
But does it have room for chapstick?
I mean,
you could use it as like a toiletry bag for traveling.
oh, there you go. Yeah. Housekeeping comes in, they're like, is this a gun in here? I'm pretty sure this is a gun. Oh, nope, just a nose hair trimmer. Toiletry bag. Thanks, Springfield Armory. You know somebody's doing that right now, too. Yeah. You know some guy brought a gun home, and his wife's like, oh, toiletry bag. Hey, honey, can I use that for all my little chapsticks and such? Yeah, what else am I going to add to this? This is crazy.
It's going to have to be John Wick style, where you push one of the guns and it opens up a whole
Some more
nother
guns?
wall.
It's going to have to be like a library book where I turn one of these guns, I go, oh, and then a whole nother shelf of guns pops out.
Victor from Days of Our Lives is going to come in.
Oh my god. Just no more Days of Our Lives. We've moved on. 7th Heaven. Soap operas, my god. Na 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 na. Alright.
You ready?
Let's talk. Oh, did I just do something to myself? Jeez, get excited. Oh yeah, it was a rear sight there. Ooh, that's a sharp little guy. I'll be ready for Victor when he comes in.
Did Mom see any of this?
I don't know.